That's when it's going to start. Yeah, the broadcast is live. Right as I'm singing, we got the juice. Okay, I promised Briar we were going to go in today.
Yes. Y'all, welcome. Hello. This is the Neurodiversity Media Network. I am Briar Harvey. Today, we are talking about reciprocity. Dun, 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 dun.
And how it relates to asking for help and receiving help.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we think reciprocity sounds great, right? It's like, wow, we're in this like great relationship. I give a little bit to Briar gives a little bit to me. We have this amazing relationship. Everything, our boundaries are being met. But little known fact, no, I don't say it's little known. It's known, but we like to ignore it. Like the Ebola we were just talking about. We just ignore it. Is that reciprocity is one of the most used persuasion tools for manipulation. And I think
dun, dun.
And I think it 100% impacts our ability to both ask and receive help, because we know underneath that this reciprocity can impact us. Briar's having a snack.
Cough drop, because it's allergy season, and yeah, it's been bad this year. So let's talk specifically first about what reciprocity is.
Yeah. So, I mean, in the terms of like a really great thriving relationship, reciprocity means that there isn't an imbalance in power, an imbalance in labor. It is really about this give and take. Now, the grand scheme of reciprocity is it's not just like I give you this and then you give this back to me. It can be a long-term reciprocal relationship, which is really interesting when we start to build the idea of community, because there are times where we have people who have disabilities or illnesses or fatigue and all these kind of things, that are maligning us. They might not always be in the most productive, we'll say, or giving or emptying into the pot. Okay.
Right.
But they still have value and they're still important to community because of the way that we build communities and the way that we build nourishing and support. So when we look at reciprocity, part of the time is that it's like we almost have to put a time frame on it, and I don't think it should. I think reciprocity is a beautiful thing when we do it and we go into it and it's a agreed upon contract, and it is a revisited contract. It is a contract we made in 2001 is not the contract we have today. Like it's something we revisit and we share. But it gets unhealthy when we have that tally. It gets even more unhealthy when it's an invisible tally that we don't know is being tallied for us.
Oh, and that's a big deal.
It is a very big deal. We have seen in the last few months some interesting things in our digital business community, which is a very tiny, tiny community. But here's what happens. We get people who are building things, movements, ideas, businesses, and we all want to just have this big audience really quickly. And we want to have this. And so people will say to us, can you talk about this? Can you share my thing? Can you, and like just right now, I just got I can see it. It's a text on there, someone saying, can you please just talk about my product? Your audience is really receptive. And I'm like, oh, okay. What? And so we often will have these things coming at us in order for this to happen. Now, what can happen in reciprocity where power imbalances happen is that people start to do these favors for us and then they call them in later. Okay. And so this is where you'll find where someone might say, well, I've shared your stuff in the past. How come you don't share my stuff? Or I've commented on your stuff in the past. How come you don't comment on my stuff? And you're like, I didn't even know this was happening. Okay. Which then makes you a bad person because you did not know or recognize that somebody was doing nice things for you. But the thing is that a contract was not created. It was created for you. And not for your benefit. It was created in order at some point for people to call in that favor or to create the power imbalance. And this is, whether you recognize that we will all, and I want to say this, we will all probably do this to somebody else at some point in our life. So I don't want everyone to go, oh my God, those are bad people. These are good people. These are things that we might do and think on an any day basis. And it doesn't make us a good person or a bad person. It's just something to consider. Okay. Have you ever felt in your life where all of a sudden you're like, well, I've done all these things for this person and they never do, they unfriended me after I did something for them?
We're keeping score, and we're humans and programmed to do that biologically. So inevitably, there will be relationships where we go, oh, you haven't paid me back the way that I have done this thing for you.
Yeah, and we've seen like this kind of trail into other things like the spoons that we sometimes see. I only have 5 spoons left, or I only have 1 spoon left. We're now tallying and keeping score of our own labor. And I don't know if it's the healthiest thing for us, to be honest, because what can happen, or you're like, this task is going to take 3 spoons and this task is going to take, like, what we're doing now is we're now doing reciprocity on our own time. So that gets into a whole inner relationship that we have with ourselves, but that's where it comes from, right? It's like, I owe this. I've got this finite amount of energy. I've got this finite amount of time. I've got this finite whatever relationship, and it's in and out constantly. We're either filling the water, we're taking it out. This is a lot. It's a lot.
Right. It's a lot. It
And
feels very heavy.
it feels heavy because not only you are keeping tally of your own availability, but now other people are keeping tallies of what they have done for you, or what what that have, and then you're also, you have another if you do recognize that people are doing things for you, you've also kept an internal tally of what they've done for you. And I would say most cases your internal tally is bigger than their tally. Unless there is a power imbalance, then their tally will be bigger than your tally. What you thought, what was an equal exchange. If they're looking to create a power imbalance over you, their tally will be like, well, I did this and this and this for you, and this took up so much of my time, and you'll anybody, I'm sure, who's had a relationship with anyone, family, friends, will hear this echoing in their mind. This, well, I've done this for you. Why are you not willing to do this for me now? And it's a power imbalance.
Right. And we haven't even talked about how that gets cultivated for sales purposes or money exchanges, because it's a lot of layers.
Yes.
So what does healthy reciprocity look like?
It can look like we're doing this and you're helping me and I'm helping you. This is actually a really great reciprocity because I'm contributing to Briar's network. I'm bringing my audience, I'm bringing my people to interact. We're getting some numbers for Briar to be able to go out to sponsors and to future show organizers, and you're giving me the opportunity to create little clips that I can an exposure to your network as well, for what I do in the world, but also I can then take the video and I can start putting this on, YouTube short. It's content I didn't have to create. I created it once, but I
Right.
also then have more legitimacy because you were willing to interview me. So when anybody asks you to be on their network or their audience, that kind of tallies up a little social cred score. Do you remember it was cred? It was like this website where you could like get your internet worth. It was
Oh
like
God.
KRED. It's probably still around. I should go look up my
Probably
cred.
still around. And there was another one too where you got your internet score. I can't remember what that one was. Yeah.
I mean, cred was that. It was like an internet score. It was like basically like however many times people mentioned you on social media, how many people linked back to you. Like it was fascinating. I was like obsessed with it for a short time until I realized
Justin Bieber was the most credible individual in the world at the time,
sure,
according to their rankings. Yes, I
sure.
remember.
Yeah, and but the thing is that's still happening, right? So when you borrow people's audiences, you then get you borrow their credibility as well. So those are things like where that's a healthy relationship because you and I have agreed upon the things that we're doing for each other, and we both know how that's going to be used and why it's going to be used. We come back to that conversation every time we decide to do another one of these. That's a healthy reciprocity. In business, that's a business reciprocity. If you're doing it with a client, I can't stress enough, you know how much I love contracts, and will tell people to, what's your contract say? Knowing full well they didn't have a contract. I just do it very innocently. Oh, what does your contract say? But contracts are a great example of healthy reciprocity. I know that some people don't like it, especially if the contract was not written in your favor, but make changes to contracts. If someone presents you with a contract and you don't like a clause in it, ask to change it. And if they say no, then maybe that's not going to be a healthy reciprocity. Those are things to consider. I've had people ask me to consider clauses in my contract, and I'm like, absolutely not. My lawyer will take me out if I do this. And then they've said, well, then, I need you to do this. I'm like, no, you don't. We don't need to be in a relationship as a customer, because those are my boundaries. And that is healthy as well, is being able to do that. If it is something that you can change, do have a clause that I can take in and out. It's about marketing purposes. If someone's like, I do not want to be used for any kind of marketing references, no problem at all. We take that out. We make an amendment. That is in my boundaries. That's healthy reciprocity. They've paid me money. They don't owe me marketing. Okay. Healthy reciprocity. Okay. So those are things where it's like, it's good to do. You're going to ask me unhealthy reciprocity now next.
Right. I mean,
yeah.
Sometimes, especially with you, Marissa, I wonder how much I actually need to be here, except for the occasional question. But that one is, in fact, the next question.
I mean, I said this morning in the room. I am definitely a reactor. If you ask me right now, what do I know? I'll say absolutely nothing. But then when somebody asks me a question, I'll be like, oh yeah, here, let me unlock that little treasure trove. So no, I need you. Absolutely. 100%. Always and forever, Briar. But unhealthy reciprocity is when you start to feel like it's either you have power being lauded over you, or that you didn't ask for it. There was no contract. There was no agreement to it. Even if you're like, wow, this is amazing at the time, always check in to say if you agreed, because this is where we find where someone says, well, I always like your stuff, or I always share your stuff. How come you don't share mine?
Always and never is almost never appropriate in any circumstance, but especially not in a relationship. Why?
Well, I mean, what you've got is, here, I'll just give an example. So I had somebody recently say that to me. Well, the thing is, I don't agree with their content. In fact, I don't want to be associated with their content. I actually think their content's really harmful, and it goes against my ethics and my values and my morals and everything, even though they have put in their content that they're ethical. Like, anyone can say that. I'm an ethical business. Well, yeah. Everybody thinks they're an ethical business, or everybody wants people to think they're an ethical. Even the guys calling you on your phone saying that there's a warrant out for your arrest will say that they are an ethical business, even though they are trying to scam you. But if you don't agree with it, you shouldn't have to do that, right? Even with the catalyst, we might do some communal marketing where it's like, oh, I just created a post. Anyone want to go comment? It is completely 100% optional. It is not a requirement to be a Catalyst member to always go and follow all the Catalyst members on their media. And in fact, that can be a detriment to each other's brands, especially if you're not in the same, like you're not their audience. Okay.
Because the algorithm detects what it calls pods, and engagement pods are against terms of services. And if everyone is always commenting on the same post at the same time, especially, the algorithm will know it.
Yeah.
You are not smarter than the
If you're running any kind of Facebook or Google ads right now, it's really interesting the amount. I just set up one the other day on Facebook, and it was incredible the amount of lookalike audience. Well, if it's all my friends, no, I don't want to run an audience to my friends. I don't want to run an audience. I want to run an audience. I want to run ads to people who are going to buy my shit, not my friend. My friends aren't buying my shit. Like, let's just be real. Okay. I want to run it to people who are going to buy or who have bought. And so if you just stack your stuff, it's not going to be good. Okay. It's not going to be beneficial for you. It might look good superficially, but it's not. And you're not going to get the engagement. You're not going to get the excitement because people are just like, oh, there's Marissa talking about the profit plan again. Like they're just going to scroll on by. That's not who you want. So yeah, so that kind of reciprocity is dangerous. That whole like, you must do this in order to participate in our community. Those things get a little weird about it. I mean, we have a rule. People are like, what are your rules for being in the Catalyst? I'm like, I treat it like we're not cooking tuna in the community kitchen. And when people are like, what? I'm like, all I ask is for you to think about, does this have the potential to ruin someone else's day? Your actions, how can your impact ruin someone else's day? And most people have smelt fish for 3 hours after somebody brought their leftover salmon, which was delightful on Sunday night, is not delightful in the community kitchen on Monday afternoon. It just isn't. Doesn't matter how much dill butter. You're muted, but I understand you're like,
It's not even good in my own kitchen. No.
yeah. And so it's like that's kind of like our one rule. That's our golden rule, is basically like, would your words or your actions cause someone to wish that you never brought salmon to the community market? Like that is it. Right. And I think that really just like, otherwise everything else is like optional. What are you available for? How do you, and that's how we're creating community, right? Once you start to put these rigid restrictions on people, and we saw this with Facebook groups, and this is where reciprocity is an interesting thing. When we saw with those Facebook business groups, you had to give your email address. You had to go like this one post in order to get into this, this kind of stuff is dangerous. Now, reciprocity is used a lot in business for free opt-ins.
Oh, yes. Now let's talk about that.
Yeah. So what a lot of people don't realize is, everybody out there who has a free opt-in, is you are engaging in the persuasive act or the manipulative act of reciprocity. Is it healthy? Is it not? Well, I don't know. I mean, this is up for debate, and I'm on the fence of it myself as a business owner. I love a good freebie. I don't love it that it causes me to think that because this person has done something for me, I then have to click the next email. I have to click, and it happens. Okay. Even when you're self-aware, we're like, oh, I feel bad. This is so good. I got to go give somebody a testimonial because they did this to me for free, but I hated it, but it was for free. And I want them to like, this kind of stuff gets dangerous, right? I'll give you a free coaching session if you give me a testimonial. Can the testimonial be bad? Sure, but I'm not going to use it. Well, then, right? It's
Right.
have these kind of conversations.
And in many cases, given the constraints on my time, I would rather pay you money for something than give you my email address. Holy crap. And let's not forget that if I give you money, I'm probably giving you my email address to sell me marketing shit later.
I mean, we were talking about the excitement of joining a bundle. There's a very famous bundle out there in the digital business world that happens, I think, once a year, and everybody wants in on it, and it has certain success. However, we also know that like 90% of the emails that you get in that bundle is people's throwaway emails. It's the email they will never look at or check. It is where sometimes you'll see on email forums, it'll say your best email, or sometimes I write the email you actually check, especially when you're signing up for purchases. Like, make sure that you get these notices, because we're not going to just send you marketing crap. We're sending you actually information about your purchase. Like, that's the thing, is that, and people will sign up for, like, they just have a throwaway email. So one of the things that we do, we advise for people who are participating in these kind of bundles or have a free opt-in, is immediately after they opt in and you get your freebie, you give them another opt-in or a purchase request. And at that point you say, okay, I know this is your throwaway email. Now let's, like, if you want to keep having a relationship with me based on this and based on what you've seen, and here's what I'd like to send to you, here's another opt-in. And you don't mark it to the list that you got from the bundle or the summit or even your free opt-in list. You quickly requalify the people on that list so that you only have active emails. And if anybody's going, what? Why would I want to give away 1,000 emails that I just got from this bundle? Well, because
What? But they're not worth anything.
if nobody opens up your emails, your email sender score goes down, and then no one's getting your emails.
Yep.
Not even the ones who want it, because they say, oh, you got 1,000 dead emails on this list and you're sending it out every 2 weeks or every 2 days. No one's opening or clicking through your emails. We're not delivering them anymore. And I see that. I went into my spam filter the other day and I'm like, oh, these people need to clean out their list. I actually emailed one person because I do like them as a person and said, you got to clean out your email list. You're showing up on my spam on a regular basis. And the reason why you're showing up on my spam on a regular basis isn't because I haven't been clicking through. It's because you got a whole bunch of other people not clicking through.
Right.
Right. So this is the thing that we want to start thinking about is if we're using these tactics in our business, if we're using these tactics in our life, what are the ramifications? What's the impact? Reciprocity is a beautiful thing when it's agreed upon and we, like I said, we come back, we check the contract again. But if we're using reciprocity as a persuasive or a manipulation tool, we need to make sure we know the impact of it, not only on ourselves, not only on our own business, but the people that we're working with. I absolutely hate the thought of somebody feeling like they owe me. And part of this is my Italian upbringing. We've talked about this before.
Favors are not exactly something Italians like owing other Italians for some reason.
Right. Could get you killed. But it is absolutely, you want to amass a certain amount of favors. You always want to know a guy. Okay. And this is where like the know a guy comes from. But it's like,
Wait, this part is in our wheelhouse because Marissa and I know all the guys. Between us, we know a guy.
We know a guy or a gal or a them. We know the theys, the gays. We got somebody. We got them.
Somebody.
Okay. You need somebody. Briar and I got you. Okay. But I try to build these, again, it's like really healthy relationships as opposed to people owe me something.
Correct.
I dreaded it. And to the point where I will actually try to do things anonymously. So if all of a sudden something good happens to you and you're like, who did this? It wasn't me. You don't know anything. And I don't want people to know that. I want them to just enjoy and have the goodness and not feel like they owe me, because that's a lot of heaviness too. Again, your internal tally could be higher than them. I have done things for people, not to brag, but I'm just saying I've done some nice things occasionally. I'm not just, the jerk all the time. But then people are like, oh, I got to get you next. Dinner's a good thing. Like, I just want to buy you dinner. Okay, I'll get you next time. I will never go out with you again. Never. If you say that to me, Briar's cough candies took her out. I will never, nothing. We go for coffee. I buy you coffee. And you're like, I'll get you next time. You will never see me again. And now people are watching this going, oh no, that's why you completely avoid seeing me. Yeah. No, just enjoy it. Enjoy that someone got you that day. Someone took care of you. And this leads into unlearning how to ask for help and receiving help. Because if we think that we always have to have reciprocity also to be supported, to get help, to be nourished, it is going to weigh on us, because now we're back to spoons. Okay.
Right.
Now we're back to, I already have had so much support from people. I can't ask them again because I haven't given back. I haven't been that person. I haven't done the reciprocity. And this is where reciprocity gets really toxic. Okay. Because we feel we are responsible for this reciprocity. Even if the other person isn't asking for us for something, we feel like we have to. We get guilt over it.
And I think we definitely, the last episode talked about receiving. And if that is a place where you struggle, please go and rewatch that, watch that, take it in. Receiving is hard. And what are we doing to build guardrails. Are you snorting your Coca-Cola again?
Yeah, I heard something else. I think you said receiving is hard.
Thank you, Marissa. That's always, always a pleasure.
Ba-dum-bum.
What the fuck was I saying? Guardrails. Guardrails. So, boundaries and guardrails. You talked about a contract, and that's good. But how do we build this stuff into personal relationships, friendships?
Yeah, I mean, I think honestly it's learning to drop the tally and asking other people in our lives to drop the tally too and having an open conversation about that as friends. Okay? Because I think we I think we worry about being accepted so much and being rejected. Oh, like that's coming back from when we lived in tiny little villages and groups of people, nomads roaming around the like this whole like being left out of the safety of community, being left out of the safety of the herd. And to be honest, that's a very real thing, and we're still living in it. We're still living in that horror of, "Oh god, I broke my foot and the rest everybody has to move on and the pack of wolves is circling behind me." We're still there. And then we look at like, things like the witch trials and now we just keep repeating this.
And in so many cases, I don't think that we are aware of when we are keeping score reciprocally. This happens a lot in romantic relationships in particular. And it's a thing that I notice. So I'm not talking about the imbalance of a relationship where one partner of often a particular gender does not carry the emotional load. That's not what I'm talking about here. In a relationship where there is generally an equal amount of weight given to those things,
Yeah.
often we still keep score because that's what we know.
Yeah, and we see this a lot with like disabled and neurodivergent, right? Like I am not an easy partner to have. I will be the first.
Right.
I'm not an easy friend to have, to be honest. I only have one rule in friendship, but it's hard. Not everybody can do it. And it is a it's something again like people will say, I can't believe he stays with her, or I can't believe she stays with him. Uh Especially if somebody was able-bodied and then has a disability at some point in the relationship, because not only does the emotional load take a toll, but the physical load. Right now you're helping people, especially going through any kind of rehabilitation. But if it's a long-term or a chronic illness, we see this a lot where people they're like, I know this is just one more thing. All you hear from me is me asking for support, right? And then we also, again, this is where we increase the tally. We do that to our partners and our friends as well. Like, I know I'm a burden. I know because you're just hoping that they say you're not. Okay. But that creates the stress. That creates the load. Having somebody to have to reassure you all the time is
Is part
what's
of the load.
exhausting.
Right.
Yeah. You need me to piggyback you somewhere because you sprained your ankle? No problem. I'm incredibly strong. I got you. Let's go. Your feet might drag on the ground because I'm really short, but I got you. But hearing you go the entire way, oh, I'm so heavy. Oh, I'm so big. I can't believe you have to. I'm going to feel it more. Okay. Make it a joy for people to help you. And I know this is hard and I'm not whitewashing it, but part of it is believing in yourself that it feels good. We've had this conversation before where I literally sit in this room in the Catalyst all day waiting for someone to say, "Marissa, can you help me?" I get like, what do I do? I'm like, "Yes, absolutely."
Truly, nothing makes Marissa happier than ignoring her own job to do somebody else's business for them. Absolutely
Absolutely.
nothing. And if you'd like to
Absolutely.
join us in the Catalyst, it's briarharvey.com/catalyst. Thank you very much. We'd love to have you.
Absolutely. And I'm there to do that. And nothing excites me more. But people will come in and say, I feel like I've asked you something every day this week. And I'm like, and it's glorious.
Hmm.
I put that chat widget in. I have a chat with. I am like, I have a chat widget that people can ask me a question at any point, and it makes this really loud buzzing noise on my phone. It's so exciting.
On her phone, on her watch, she has all of these alerts now at any time, just in case somebody needs help.
Yeah. And
It's
someone's like, I
delightful.
wasn't sure when to use it. And I was like, anytime, always, whenever you need it. It was so exciting. I was in a meeting and it went off and I was like, and the person I'm talking to was like, are you okay? I'm like, yes, somebody needs me. It's so exciting. And it's not like the therapists out there are gonna be like, we probably should talk about your need for being needed, but it's just fun for me. My brain gets so bored looking at my same shit all the time. I want to look at other people's stuff. Okay. But as soon as they come in and they start to go, oh, I can't believe how much time I've used, guess what I do? I'm like, it doesn't
And
feel
it
good.
takes longer. I've noticed
Yeah.
that too in the cycle. When people complain about how needy they are for needing something, it takes Marisa twice as long to generate the thing. Look at the face that she's making right now, y'all.
No. Whereas people are coming in and like, they're like, hey, can I get some help? I'm like, yep. And we go and we do it. And that's how I'm going to scale the catalyst is I'm going to fill it with a whole bunch of people who feel really good about being supported. I know not everybody's going to get there. We're going to work on it. We're going to practice. They're going to realize, wow, I get work done a lot faster. Or Marissa can really zip out because I'm feeling my energy's high. I'm excited about it. Even if I hate that your website is on Squarespace, get off Squarespace. Even though I hate that, I'll still help you when you're excited about it. And that's the secret of the done with you that we do with the catalyst, right? Because here's the reciprocity in that done for you to me is an imbalance in reciprocity. I owe you something. I can't do it. I can't. That project will take forever. I will procrastinate on
It
it.
doesn't matter how much you paid her for it
Doesn't
either. It
matter.
does not.
50K will not make me move faster.
Mm-mm.
Not at all. I will wait until the very last second and I'll get it done for you. But if you come in and you're like, I need a trench coat and I'm really like, then I'm just going to draw your face.
Y'all, it's coming later today. It is quite possibly one of the most delightful images I have ever asked for. I'm so excited to use this. And all I did was ask because
Well, you were excited
graphics,
about it. You were
I,
excited
I,
about
I
the trench
was.
coat,
I've been
right?
excited about it we've been talking about it for a couple of weeks. Like,
I wish it was
hey,
easier. Although I finally found the keywords to like actually get me the images I want. It was contraband. I had to go for
of
contraband.
course you did. Of course you did.
Anyways, it was just like once I did that, then I was like open to possibilities, and then I end up drawing, and then I'm drawing Briar. Anyways, so with my finger because my pencil got stuck, my Apple pen got stuck in a chair and then broke. So I was drawing your face with a finger, but it was exciting and it was fun. And now you've got like this, like, but it was light. We were joyful in it, right? We were having fun with it. And that's great when we can do that, when we can build these kind of really great moments where someone can help us. And that goes like from, you need money, whatever. Enjoy that the people are able to do that.
You know, I don't think we've ever really talked about how much of asking for help and receiving help is about allowing people to help.
Yeah, we haven't talked about the joy that comes from helping. And
I
I think
think that may be
again,
the next episode.
yeah, the joy of helping. But I think
Hmm.
I think this is interesting because I think we put so much heaviness on being helped. We already put all those that we're already at a spoon deficit of being helped. Like there's all those kind of it's just like I'm bored of it. Okay? I'm bored of us putting limitations and expectations and oppression on helping and being helped.
Mhm.
And I think that we can do so much more in our world when we start to chip away at these like fake constructs that were created out of power imbalances, that were created out of supremacy, that were created out of capitalism in order to oppress others. Rich, wealthy, powerful people are helped and supported to the nines.
And yes, they pay most of those people, but it is
Debatable.
right, potentially, well, theoretically, but they don't question whether when they walk into a building, someone will greet them and offer them refreshment or to take their luggage someplace or to get them what they need. All of these things are assumed, and it becomes really personally powerful when you start assuming that if you ask for something, someone, not necessarily the person you ask, but someone will be able to provide you that service.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, I'm in a service industry. I'm serving all y'all in the catalyst. I will 100% say that that's I get so much joy out of it, right? We don't question that because you paid me, but, like, there are people who do question it. They're like I'm like, "You literally paid for this. Why are we talking about how much support you can get?" I'm telling you, yes, you can. Yes, you can. But, I mean, the reality is that we have purpose, we have things to do in our day. As much as we all, like, kinda say, "Oh, it'd be amazing to sit around all day and just do," we're still gardening, we're still painting, we're doing still stuff for other people even as much as it is for ourselves. Okay? We're always creating both for ourselves and for others. Doesn't matter what those roles are that we take on. I do want to eliminate all the crappy stuff that nobody wants to do, but I would love for us to get to a point where we are in community providing service and that service is recognized and appreciated and not frowned upon.
And y'all, we get to choose. We have this brave new world in front of us where we are creating and building things. We can decide to do it for each other.
And that's where it begins. So again, it's like when we go out and we start to build these relationships, whether it's a client relationship, whether it's a friend relationship, whether it's a romantic relationship, think about intentionally how you're allowing for yourself to be supported and how you're allowing for them to be supported, because it's two sides of the equation and it's usually not equal. And that is just going to be depending on our learned experiences, our borrowed experiences, but we can start creating from now.
And I think what's key is that as I lean into what I'm truly good at offering support at, the more freedom I feel to ask for my own support in the ways in which I need help. So it's it is reciprocity in the way that the more I give of the things that I can do for other people, the more I am willing to receive in return.
Yeah. So give me an example.
So we are here and we are doing this as a reciprocal agreement that we have worked out in the past. I am
Mhm.
going to be selling this time soon. Already am. You can find information at briarharvey.com/partners. See, I'm getting so much better at this, Marissa. And what it is that I give you access to my audience, my network. I get to use the system that I have created to give you all of this incredible content that you, and let's be honest, not you, that Lacey is going to go out from here and take and turn into incredible things for you. And in return, I feel so much more comfortable asking for support, asking for people to buy, asking for people to subscribe. It just becomes a little bit easier every single time because I've recognized that what I offer here is incredibly valuable.
Yeah, it is. That is.
It there used to be a lot of feelings, you know, deep in the chest feelings about me saying this is something I'm good at. But in
Right.
fact, I'm good at asking you questions and then allowing you to take that stuff and turn it into content forevermore.
So here's an interesting thing when we look at your model with Substack. So, or for the investing in the network. So it's interesting when we talk about reciprocity. A lot of times, what people will do is they will either completely paywall their content, which I have done on my Substack, mostly because I want people to like to be there. If you're a friend or family and you want to come read my stuff, I just have a code. But what a lot of people will do is they'll put out a lot of free content and then they'll say, if you like this or if you want to have access to others, then you can pay for it. So this is reciprocity. I'm going to give you this free stuff and I'm going to hope that you like it enough that you feel in a way that you would like to give to me. So here's where we look at our language, because how we phrase this is everything. And I think you're doing a really great job building the stuff for the Neurodiversity Media Network. And because you could say, look, I'm doing all this work. If you have been enjoying it, like, or you can really frame it again as joyful, right? Being able, if it's in your budget, being able to invest in something like this is powerful. But how you invest doesn't always have to be money. You invest by showing up and listening. You invest by reading the stuff. You invest by sharing it with other people. You invest again. So it starts to change the equation. You're still asking for support. You're still asking for help, but you're talking about building it in terms of a convenience. It isn't that your labor is worth this. It absolutely 100% is. But once you start to bring in those elements, like where you've done all this work, you should pay to get access to it. That's when we start to see the things happen. And then you've now created this it's like I just enjoy your content, Briar. I don't want to get into a relationship with you. I just want
And
to.
you can every single day on just about any fucking network you want to have access to it because we stream everywhere.
That's right. That's right. And so part of it is when you do this, and this is too when you're giving money to this like creator. I love the creator gig. I love the creator content network where we have taken the power out of singular monoliths, the NBCs of the world, the Disney of the world. Don't I love you, but those power magnets. And now we're saying, I love what you're creating. It brings me joy. It makes me feel a certain way. I've learned stuff. You're incredibly value my life. I would like to compensate you in a manner that I would normally have done through the major media networks. That's powerful. Absolutely powerful. When you give that money, give it freely without expectation for reciprocity. And here's what I will say to you, to anyone listening to this here, now, and forever in the future. When you give money and you expect a certain amount of performance from a creator, you need to recognize that that's a you problem and not the creator problem. Okay? Because the creative process has become so on demand, on request, that
Oh,
it
yes.
isn't practical for how we live our lives. Actors had to have unions because they literally were making them do like 22 episodes in 3 weeks. Okay, it's not practical, it's hard on the body, it's exhaustive. Okay? Now we're getting these 8 segments, but 3 weeks apart, right? It's giving teams and the whole production team and the ability to rest and take time off to create cool things for you. That's the same with your your creators out there in the world. If you donated to somebody, on TikTok, or you donated to Briar, you have to understand that there are going to be periods of rest, rejuvenation, creativity, and that they don't owe you. Donate or give or invest because you just love seeing someone create, not for your future expectation of what they give you.
I think there's a lot to be said here too about parasocial relationships and the ways in which, it used to be mostly celebrities, but now you can know someone intimately online because they choose to put a significant portion of their life on the line online. That doesn't mean you're entitled to any of that information.
Yeah, you're not entitled to know anything about where they live, what their favorite color is, none of that. And you're not entitled to their time, how much they create, what kind of topics they create. You're really not, unless they've structured it so that you pay to determine what kind of food they're eating. And those are fun things too. But again, that's a reciprocal, agreed upon contract. Unless you can go back and say, I absolutely agreed to pay you this money for this episode, you're giving as a part of supporting without strings, without the reciprocity return, without the expectation. And that's a beautiful thing.
I want to wrap this up today by talking about the client relationship because there's a lot here. When we pay for a service,
Yeah.
we absolutely expect it to be rendered,
Yep.
and none of that is in dispute. But the way in which we treat the service provider is perhaps something that we need to have conversation about.
Yeah. And I mean, this is it's interesting because once money gets involved in anything, it can get dirty and nasty really quick. And there's no amount of money. Okay. There's no A lot of people will say the person who gives you $100,000 is better than the person that gives you $100. That's a really nice propaganda to try and sell you on a coaching package to raise your prices. Okay, that's what that is.
That is pretty much what that is.
Okay. Power and control happen both in poverty and in wealth. Okay. You can be as poor as dirt and still want to have power over someone else. When we give money, money has been associated with power since it was created, okay? And the more money we have, the more power we have, okay? But and also the less money we have, the more we crave that power, because it's like, "Oh,
Yes.
it seems awesome." It's not. It's a lot of work. But here's the thing. If we are, again, contracts are a beautiful thing. Make sure that you have the scope clearly defined, but also have ongoing communications. I will admit I'm horrible at communications. When things are going awry, I hate telling people that things are going, not that I don't mind telling people that things are going awry, but I don't often will give updates in between because I want to give them some good news or I want to give them something substantial. But sometimes when things are going awry, you're waiting for other people. And then you're like, I'm still waiting for Bob to figure out his stuff. That doesn't sound good. So then a week goes by, I'm still waiting for Bob and they're waiting for me. Right. And so I know I need to get better at that from a communication standpoint. I recognize that. But it is something that we sometimes forget. We sometimes miss, or we just get so overwhelmed and we're worried that people are going to hate us. Let's be more gentle with each other, people. Okay. People get sick. People get hurt. I've told before about the story of my colleague who literally called me from the hospital minutes before they were going to be put on a ventilator, asking for help with a client because the client felt that they were shirking their duties. Right?
This is where reciprocity is out of control.
Right. And then you have people who are like, well, I gave you money for this. So um part of it is we have to take away the power of money.
Hmm.
That's a bigger task. I say this not lightly and not, like it's ever going to happen. I'll ask anybody watching this now, look for ways that we can start to take the power out of money, both in our own lives and in our communities. And people say, but capitalism. And it's like, well, capitalism is actually relatively young. So I think there's like some room here for us to move past capitalism.
And capitalism has more than one theory, too.
Yeah.
The ways in which we benefit shareholders versus stockholders comes from one guy 100 years ago and could just as easily be rewritten.
Yeah. Yeah. A new economy is completely possible within our lifetime. I know it seems like it's been forever, but it really hasn't. Power, though, has. Okay. And so this is where we need to actually look for ways where we take the power out of money. Now, part of this is that if someone just has money, we have to do what they want. That's a good time to say no. Okay.
Agreed.
Um, if you're doing things for your client because they have paid you money and you feel like you owe them stuff, you owe them communication. You owe them contact. I know it's hard. And like I said, I've been there. I've been there so bad. I I still have emails. I got to reply to people a couple of years later and I will get to it. But it is hard. I get it 100%. I'm not taking that away from you. But just, it's like start to recognize it. Start to recognize where we are allowing the tally of what we owe people to be bigger than what they think we owe them. As soon as we feel like it's heavier and we start to show that, the other person will feel that too.
You know, I have been in the room in more than one profit plan.
Yeah.
And there's a moment, inevitably, and truly no different than my own goddamn moment when we were doing my profit plan, where you look at the number and go, oh, that's a lot of fucking money. I got to raise my prices.
Yeah.
And universally, there is some real feelings about this when people are like, I haven't been charging what I need to charge to feel like I am worth the service that I am offering.
So here's the thing with profit plan too. And here's why. And if you're wondering what the heck's the profit plan? Profit plan is the signature way that I recommend building your business as a business owner. The thing with the profit plan is it's not just about raising your prices. Sometimes it's about changing what you're selling. And the reason why I say this is because you can only, as much as, again, somebody's trying to sell you on a coaching package will try to tell you, you can raise your prices, you can charge whatever you want, free market, blah, blah, blah. To a point, there is a point where the market won't hold it, or you don't have the capacity to go to a new audience that will hold that thing. And that is a very real thing that we have to look at in business. It isn't just as simple as raising your prices. But what the profit plan does is it says, this is the amount of money that you actually need in your life to thrive. Nothing else. Then we actually look at the products and the prices to see if this is reciprocity too. We look in your business, we look and see if the products and packages that you're offering can even return that. Because I think that is that's almost actually a more of a wound for people because they poured their heart and soul into creating this product or this package. They marketed it. They've told everybody every benefit about it. They've showed it off. They've done reels. They've done TikToks. They've demoed it. They've talked and they are exhausted about it. And it was never meant to be sold because you just can't. There's either no audience or it's at a price point that you don't have an audience and you don't have the capacity to build it because it takes money and time to build an audience, or it's not right. It's not right for you. So when we look at the profit plan, we start with you. We start with you and your business. What do you need? And then we build the reciprocity in there. We build the products and the packages that you love to sell at the price point that gets you there. And that's where we take the wound out of the money. It's
Right,
not.
because it's just numbers at this point in
Yeah.
time. This is the number you need to sell. This is how much you need to charge. And this is what it looks like to work it backwards to get there. And I think truly, once people are over the shock of this revelation, the grace and the ease that settles in is pretty profound. It certainly has been for me. It's why we're here doing this, because my profit plan said, oh, you're going about this all wrong. I had these things that I was doing that I didn't necessarily love doing. And now,
Well, in order for you to get to your number, I'll tell on you a little bit. In order to get
okay.
your number, you had to go create a new audience at a significantly higher price point. Price point. You could do it 100%. And what I said was to you is, is it worth it?
Right.
And then you said, you know what I'd really like to do? I want to build a media network.
And
I was like,
5 months later,
okay,
here we
right?
are.
And we ran the numbers and we said, geez, it's actually less work. And this is where the people who are like high ticket lovers are like, well, you only have to get 10 customers at this point to get this point, or you have to get 1,000. Yeah, but you know what? Sometimes building 1,000 people at this price point
At
is
$25 a month, y'all. It's $25 a month. If you like the work.
It's a secret. It's the same amount of work to get 10 people as it is as 1,000. But nobody wants to talk about that because that doesn't sell the package. But I will tell you that right now, it's the same amount of work. So do what you love. Do what you love. Build the reciprocity in your own business with your products and packages and the things that you're doing for your business. Build the reciprocity so that it feels good in there. Agree to your own contract. Create a contract with yourself about what you're willing to do for your business. And that goes from your taxes to your packages or your products that you're creating. Create a contract with yourself and build that reciprocity. Be supported. Support yourself, but be supported. And yeah, also go look at Breyer's model. This is going to be a game changer. What Breyer is building here is a significant contribution to what's out there right now from a community building. It's a different kind of community building than what we do in the Catalyst, but it is a community. It is communal marketing. It is building a surge of energy and connection and collaboration, and it's worth investing in. Coming in now as an early investor is going to benefit you in the long run because there's things that are coming. You're going to be able to see the whole arc. Come in as a show, come in as a sponsor, come in as a viewer or an engager, but invest in it. It's worth it. This is going to be a game changer. 3 to 5 years from now, you're going to see Breyer being interviewed on big stages about why Breyer thought to connect and create this, because it's going to be a model for what other people are going to be doing in their business. I rarely am wrong about my predictions when it comes to these things, and you can ask anyone where they're like, "Oh my God, when I say these things, it's going to happen."
It does.
It really does. It really does. Sometimes it's been like 7 to 10 years later, but honestly, I'm going to tell you right now, come in now as an early investor or an early show to be in this network, because it'll have a significant ripple effect.
Thank you. Truly. And it's because I believe that we all have room to grow. There is enough for everyone. My network isn't better than your network, but our networks together can build something incredible. And it's truly been a labor of love. And I am deeply grateful to have you on this journey with me.
We needed to have like 7 Nation Army just start playing. It's like dun 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 dun, like as you were saying that, because that's what it is. To start building The Eagles are coming. The Eagles are coming. Like, start building. I'm such a nerd, but like, start coming,
I get
bringing,
all those references,
right?
all of them.
Bring those in, bring the armies together, bring the audiences together, bring the communities together, bring the connections together, and start to see who you can collaborate with healthy reciprocity.
Y'all, thank you so much for being here today. This episode has been absolutely incredible. If you want to find more about Marissa, it is createtherules.com. If you would like to join the Catalyst, my affiliate link is briarharvey.com/catalyst. If you would like to find out more about getting your own show, about advertising, that's briarharvey.com/partners. We would love to see you on this journey with us because we're doing it together. That's what's key. We're not doing it alone anymore. No more of this going it alone shit.
We do it better together.
We do it better together. All right, y'all. We will see you next time. Thanks so much for being here. Have an amazing